Hello all, my name is Ankush Agnihotri. Today we will continue our Angular journey. This is part 7 of it. If you haven't watched the other part, I suggest you to watch that first. Link is in description. Also please subscribe the channel to get the latest notification of this series. So let's start. Today we will talk about the Angular directives. So basically Angular directive help us to manipulate the DOM. You can change the appearance, behavior or layout of the DOM element using the directives. Basically they help us to extend HTML ability. There are three kind of directives in Angular. First is the component directive, second is the structure directive, third is the attribute directive. So let's first talk about the component directive. Component directives are the special directive in Angular. They are the directive with the template view. As you already know, in part 5 we learned how to create an Angular component. So basically that is known as the component directive that we used throughout our application. Next, let's talk about the second directive, that is the attribute directive. Attribute directives are the directive that has been used to change the appearance or behavior of the HTML element. As you see in the last lecture, we saw that we have used various kind of attributes to change our HTML output using the ng classes as well as the attribute itself. So that is known as the attribute directive. If you haven't watched the part 6, please go that, you will able to see all the attribute directives over there. Now let's switch to the next part, that is the structure directive. Structure directive can change the DOM layout by adding or removing the DOM element. All structure directives are preceded by the asterisk symbols. So commonly used structure directives are ng4, ng-switch and ng-if. So let's switch to the Visual Studio Code to perform these structure directive example. So here we are. For this demo I have created one component named as the Angular directive component. So I bootstrap this Angular component in the app module so that I am able to run that. Right now it is named as the bootstrap component is the welcome component, so I have to be changed that also. This is the only piece of change I need to do. So let's run the app first. Npm start. It will compile my code and run it on the port 4200. Firstly, we covered with the example of the ng4. Basically this is the loop, for loop kind of thing. The ng4 in the Angular structure directive basically repeats a portion of the HTML template once each item in the iterable list. So let's sort that output. So here it is. Let me first add some conditions. If switch so here you go. So this is the basically we have a list of movies which we are rendering in the HTML table simply. So if we switch to the code part, how we are doing that? I have declared a table, then the head section of it and the body. If you carefully watch the body tier section, let me zoom it for you. So if you carefully watch this line, that is line number 13, you are able to see basically we are iterating a movies array using the ng4 structural directive. So how we are iterating? Basically we are star asterisk sign ng4, then let, then the variable of the movie, then the array from which we want to be read it, and then movie dot the properties, you will able to read it, as simple as that. Now if we switch to this movies array in our component, then you will see here it is. I have a movies object which is of movie array type, then I have binded some static movies in it. That's it. If you carefully watch this array, then what it is simply an interface with 4 properties: title, director, cast and the release date. So if you want to add some more properties in it, let's say I want to add a cast in it, so simply I have to declare it in the head section, then on the body part of it using interpolation movie dot, and then your property name. That's it. Now if you see, your code is compiled and browser is refreshed automatically and you are able to see the cast. So this is the first ng4 structural directive. Now moving towards the second one, that is the ng switch. So let's turn it on. Close this, then open the second switch example. So basically ng switch is an Angular directive which allows us to display one or more DOM element based upon some precondition that we have defined. Like in our case, what we are doing is, I have applied a switch condition on the number element that is binded to my model, and then based upon that number that I am entering into this input box, then you are able to see the different output based upon that we have defined. If we simply go to the browser, save it. Now I have a input element, then I have this is a default HTML section. So if you carefully watch your code, then what we have defined, I have a simple input text box, then I have a switch condition in which how I am defining the switch using the square brackets ng switch, then my number, then asterisk sign ng switch case. This is the way how we can define our case in Angular using the switch statement. So if I am entering any number between 1 to 5, then it will display this output, else in default case the output will be that this is the default case. Fine. So let's test that. I have entered 1, so see the output is 1 over here, and let's say 5 number. I have updated the HTML, code is compiled, I entered the 5. You will see the below section is automatically updated based upon the number that we are entering into our text box. If we entered that the number that is not available, so that will be the default case that will be run or gives us the output on the browser. So moving towards the next ng directive, that is the ng if. If you carefully watch, I am basically turning on and off these sections. So basically why I am using this, to giving you the examples. I have a code ready already in my view. So basically in each div section I have applied the ng if directive to make it enable or disable. Basically you can say to make it visible or disappear. So how I am doing that, I have declared property in my component for each section, then on the section div I have applied asterisk sign ng if, then the property name that I want to be compiled. So basically when my property is turned on, Angular directive automatically calculates this and enable this div. If we just saw our output, now we are able to see the ng if section. So in this section what I have a simple checkbox. I am checking this, you will see this output will be changed automatically based upon the checkbox. So if we carefully watch our HTML, what we are doing is we have a simple checkbox over there, then we have this ng if section, a paragraph that says show me is checked, and then a paragraph that says opposite of the show me, so show me is unchecked. So these are the section which we control using the ng if directive. So these are the three structured directive that we commonly used in Angular. Now moving toward the next thing, we can also create the custom directive in Angular. Basically, custom directive are used in Angular to extend the functionality of the HTML. They are defined as a directive function. A custom directive basically just replace the element for which it is activated. For creating a custom directive, we need to create an Angular component, and over there we have to replace @component decorator with the @directive decorator. Fine. Now the command for creating a directive is the ng space g space d, then your directive name over there. Fine. So let's switch to the code part so that we can see how we can create our custom directive. So let's stop the code first. Now your command ng space g generate, then d for directive, and let's say your directive name. I'm saying knowledge sharing highlight. So I hit enter. Basically what it will create the two files, one the spec.ts file that is used for the unit testing, another is with the directive.ts file. If you expand your explorer, then you are able to see this directive over there. Basically the purpose of this directive, what we want to achieve is, we want to highlight a section wherever we mention this directive. So let's quickly take the code for this. We have to import this. So this will be imported from the angular.core library. So in this, what we are doing is, in the constructor we are passing the HTML element that we want to modify it, then we are changing its background color to red. That's it. That is the only thing we need to do. Now what we need to do is, we have to take this directive selector name, copy this, go to your directive HTML and turn on your all sections. Now on your HTML, what you need to do is, where you have a heading, this one, just add this directive simply. Again I am repeating the step. On the heading, any HTML element, add a space, then pass your custom directive that you just created. So in similar way, let's pass it to the another one also, space your directive name, again space your directive name. Now if I run my app again, npm start, it compiles the code. Then it hosted it on the port 42. Now you are able to see your headings are automatically converted with the red background. So basically this is the way how we can create our custom directive based upon our need. If I change this color to green, hit save, code compiled, and background color will be changed to green. So this is the way how we can create the structured directive. That's it for today. Thanks for watching the lecture. See you in the next lecture. Bye.